Are you an agency that's using HighLevel and you're noticing that a lot of your emails are going into spam, and not only yours, but that of your clients? Well, today we're going to share with you some tips and tricks that we've used in our own agency to help reduce that and, more importantly, increase email deliverability. So stay tuned, make sure to subscribe and like our channel, and build along with us as we help you improve your email deliverability. All right, so we're in one of our variations of HighLevel, and what we're going to work on today is we're going to work on three things. What we've noticed whenever we're working with a particular client, clients sometimes will just tend to not follow really good email practices. So there's been a couple steps that we've kind of instituted, and we're going to kind of do from scratch here in one of our variations of HighLevel here, in where we're going to show you what we do and what we automatically put in all of our snapshots to ensure that, one, our clients stay compliant, and two, that it does not affect our email deliverability. And we always make sure that our clients are always facing the same thing. So if you watch previous videos where I go over about adding the 3 critical records, that is the first step. The second step is, if you're trying to do this for your entire agency and your clients, you always want to make sure that you have a couple of automations in place, an opt-in form that is automatically activated. And you also want to make sure you have an email template that already has the unsubscribe process directly inside there. So people have different ways of unsubscribing. And if they're going to send in a newsletter, that they already have like a pre-made template that they can leverage that has the right footer that allows for people to unsubscribe. Now, mind you, HighLevel is working really hard to create an unsubscribe process for us. But even when the unsubscribe process comes, you want to make sure that you still have certain automations enabled to ensure that your customers stay compliant and they're taking an active role in cleaning up their list. So what we're going to do today is we're going to create an automations or a pack of automations that's going to deal with email events coming directly from HighLevel that is going to give people certain tags, activate the D&D process, and then more importantly, alert the customer that they have a situation with one of their emails that they got to go back and correct. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to go to our automations tab, and notice I already have a couple of automations here, and we're just going to create a folder. We're going to name it, I have quite a numbering system in here, but for now, we're just going to label it 4 zeros, and we're going to label it as email best practices. All right, and what we're going to do is, once we create this folder, let's go ahead and click on it, and we're going to create our first workflow. Now, when you go into the workflow, and I'll share with you all the emails, events. Now, remind you, this is going to possibly change a little bit as the email preferences comes out in whatever update that's going to come out. But this is also a great backup to have just in case that process is delayed, or more importantly, that it addresses some things but not all, because there's a lot of email actions that you really should respond to and that you need to take action on. So we'll first call the first one bounce. Now, when an email bounces, it does hurt deliverability, especially if it's a hard bounce. Now, the exact difference in hard and soft, we'll cover in another setting, but regardless of which, you want to make sure you're handling bounced emails with the customer, or the customer's handling their own, because too many bounced emails will actually hurt deliverability and will put you on the naughty list, and sometimes can even blacklist you if you're doing it too often and you're sending the same email over and over to a bounced email. So what we're going to do is, if you type in, as you can see from the new menu here, we have events, we have call statuses, and we have email events. And when we click on email events, you're going to notice that if you're using Mailgun, there are about 5 different ones. You have your open, you have your clicked, and you have your scammed, your complained and your spam, and your unsubscribed. These 3 are the ones we're going to focus in on, the bounce, the complained, and unsubscribed. Because for each one of those, I want to have a certain action that I want myself or my customer to take when I'm managing inside of here. Now, notice that on bounce, it only works with Mailgun. Always go with Mailgun. We've just had a lot of really good experiences with it, especially as you develop this process and your email deliverability does really go up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the first main one, which is unsubscribe, because everybody knows the unsubscribe filter, right? So what happens is, if somebody unsubscribes from Mailgun, they're going to come back and they're going to just basically get removed or get the D&D set. So the first thing I'm going to do is, because I don't want another email going to that particular customer, I'm going to go ahead and set the D&D first. Now, for anybody not familiar with the D&D, D&D is a do not disturb, basically, if you want to think about it that way, or do not contact. So I only want to enable it for one specific channel. This is a great update that HighLevel did. And I'm only going to disenable email because that's the one that I want to make sure I don't send any emails to. So that's the first thing I do. The second thing I do is I want to tag these people because I want to make sure I have a way to segment them because I want to delete anybody that unsubscribes. So if I just go ahead and hit tag, I'm going to go ahead and hit add contact tag, and I'm going to go over here and I'm going to do unsubscribed. I already have it here, so I'm just going to go to unsubscribed from email, unsubscribe from email, and I'm going to go ahead and hit save. The next thing I'm going to do is I want to alert the customer that somebody unsubscribes. Now, do this with caution, right? Now, if you have a person that's working with a 15,000 person list, the goal is that they come in here and they're cleaning their list at least once a week. Especially the larger the list, the more frequency needs to happen. Now, if you have a customer with 1,000 person list, doesn't really matter if they clean it up every week. Not really. When you have a person that has a 15,000 person list, a 30,000 person list, things are going to get a little hairy. You need to clean and update that list very constantly. In our experience, when people come with us, it's like, oh, I have a list of 100,000 people. When we start trimming that down, we run the list through Never Bounce and Debounce or any other cleaning software out there, and we actually see how many people are really truly engaged. It ends up being like 3 times less that number. So having a very clean and engaged active list is important. Now for agencies, when people are sending emails to, let's say in this situation for dentists, they're sending it to their clients or doctors. 9 times out of 10, that list is pretty clean, but we still recommend that they go through it because people move, people no longer need his services. And if you're advertising to those individuals, it's kind of weird. And you just want to make sure you have it. So when people unsubscribe, if they have a small list, I actually recommend alerting the customer that somebody unsubscribed. If they have a large list, you just need to educate your client into letting them know. And you can even set a reminder inside of HighLevel where every week it goes off, please clean your list, please clean your list. And you can have it on a repeat. For instance, in this particular situation, it's a smaller list. I think they have a customer list of 1,000. So we're just going to let them know that every time they unsubscribe, we're just going to send a note, an internal notification, right? And we're going to send it by email, and we're going to do all users. And again, larger the office, you're probably only going to have like 2 or 3 people assigned. It depends on the client that you're serving, even for yourself. For instance, if we were doing an AutoCAD, it would be all users because we have 3 VAs, and we would want one of our virtual assistants to come in here and basically delete the unsubscribes just to kind of keep our updated list. So I'm going to go ahead and hit all users and put in whatever contact name it is. Contact name, or actually we can even make it easier, contact email, just unsubscribe. Right, super simple. You would just basically come in here and give them the instructions. Please delete this contact. And for a lot of us that are running like Facebook ads and you're running Google ads or anything else like that, anybody that's not disengaged and we keep kind of like after we go through the whole nurturing sequence and they still haven't been responsive, it's just good to just kind of clean that person off as a dead lead and kind of delete them from your system and go after a new lead and so forth. Again, different varying opinions on this. And by all means, I'm not saying this is the way to go. We just noticed we had a lot more success when we keep it this active. So, and again, for email deliverability. So I'm going to head and set an internal notification. I gave them a tag, and I'm going to probably set up a task, add task. And in here, please delete. All right. And I'm going to assign it to the context assigned user. And we're probably going to put it like in 3 days. And it's just going to be delete, unsubscribe. All right. And this will work great for any client. And again, the larger the list, I would probably not do an internal notification, but I probably would do a task. So anybody coming in and they see all these tasks, they're going to go through them. And again, completely based on the clients, but 9 times out of 10, we've seen that this works incredibly good. And I'm going to go ahead and hit save action. Now, I would add this, and I put bounce, it should have been unsubscribed. All right, perfect. So then we're going to go from there. And that is one part of the email event. Now, remember, if you're going to be an active email sender and you're going to be sending out newsletters, or the client is, the one thing that you want to make sure you do with this particular unsubscribe is you want to also give them an opt-in form that they can go ahead and fill out and make it a little bit more professional and have a full, true unsubscribe process. Now, granted, the new unsubscribe process is going to be coming out shortly, but in the meantime, until we have that, what you can do is you're just going to go to sites, you're going to create a very simplistic opt-in form, or opt-out form, I should say. And when you come in here, it's going to be first name, last name. We're sorry to see you go. Again, very, very simplistic. And then just a confirmation that they've been unsubscribed. And just make sure you're labeling your form pretty necessarily, right? Like, so if I come in here and I go to forms, we have our opt-out form. In the opt-out form that we have, again, we're just getting first name, last name, email. Notice that we only put email. I'll probably even get rid of the phone unless we're doing an opt-out for the phone, which, by the way, I recommend doing. And you can do it in here. But for now, we can get rid of this. We just have a disclaimer there, but we'll leave it at that. And it's simple. And for anybody that doesn't know how to make a form, now, if you're a really active email user and you have courses and your customer base is coaches or course creators, you can create a checkbox that basically has different campaigns. Would you like to be removed from this one? So for instance, if I come over here and I add a custom field and not a text, but I add a custom field and make believe I have like a checkbox list, and it will be promotion number 1, promotion number 2, and then I would give them the options. And then based on when they click in that, I then would in turn take that and add it to the unsubscribe columns, or add them or remove them for a particular workflow. Just different ideas that you can do to create a full unsubscribe process, again, until our preferences come out and get updated. So I'm in this automation. I'm going to go ahead and just go back. And I'm going to go back to my email best practices. I have my unsubscribe. So what I want to do is whenever that form is submitted, right? Form submitted, add a trigger. Form is the opt-out form, right? I also want to make sure I follow the same process. And for some of you that you're like, well, I kind of just want them to click a link. No problem. We can do that too. So what we're going to do is let's go ahead and save that. Come back out, go all the way to marketing, go to trigger links, go to links here, add a link. And for now, we'll just add Google, right? So this will be unsub link. And again, you can name it whatever you want, but this is just an idea of the way you guys want to have it. And then I'm going to come over here and then just use Google for now, but you get the drift, right? It would just be whatever your particular address is. So you do like an unsub links just like this. You would put the URL for the actual domain for the client, or you would have the client filled in. And then this will be a one-step link click, right? So what you would do is, again, go back to the same automation, go to your email best practices, come back to your unsubscribe, and then now you would add another starting trigger whenever the trigger link was clicked. So you add a filter, you come in here, trigger link, and it's going to be your unsub link, and you're going to go ahead and hit save. So now you have 3 different ways that people can unsubscribe. You're getting the email event, possibly from Mailgun. You have when somebody submits a form, and then you would just add an unsub link inside when the trigger link's clicked, and then you would have this kind of consistently happen. So I'm going to go ahead and hit save, and now I have my first unsub. So one very important step that I forgot to mention that you need to add inside your unsubscribe process is to remove from all workflows. Right after you add all these tasks, you want to make sure you hit the final plus sign, and what you want to do is just type in the word in the search action as remove, and then you want to remove from our workflows. If you're going to put it at the end, you can include the current workflow because it's going to remove them from this just in case it got to run it again for whatever reason. So remove from all workflows and then go ahead and hit save. Now, it is your choice whether or not you want to put this in your bounce. Now, remember, because a bounced email sometimes is because somebody's put in the wrong email or somebody hit their quota. Some people don't want to remove them out of the workflows because once that's corrected, you want the process to continue on wherever they are in the workflow. But again, completely up to you. But also not only in the unsubscribe, and as we build the complained one later on, which is the spam one, and also in this one, you want to make sure you also do remove from all workflows. That's if somebody physically complained, they definitely need to be removed from all the current workflows that you have them in. So one important forgotten step that I forgot to mention in here, but I wanted to come in here and just make sure we add it and save it so that when somebody goes through the actual action, they actually get removed, and then you just don't have anybody that's non-compliant or that unsubscribed inside any current workflow. And guess what? Now that I have this kind of created, I can actually just duplicate it. We're going to change a few things, and I'm going to go ahead and put bounced. Okay. And in that bounce, I'm going to go ahead and hit create. And do I have a trigger link and all that? No, so I can go ahead and delete these starting steps because they're not going to fill out a form for a bounced email. And then in the email events, instead of unsubscribe, and again, this will only work with Mailgun, I'm going to go ahead and hit bounced, and I'm going to go ahead save. Now, I do want to set the contact to D&D because the problem is like if I keep sending to the same bounced email, it's going to create a problem. I am going to change my tag. Instead of unsubscribed, I'm going to do bounced, okay? And I'm going to go ahead and hit save. The internal notification, it's going to change a little bit. Instead of just saying contact email just unsubscribe, I'm going to say contact email just bounced. Now the directions in here are going to be a little different. Sometimes with a bounced email, it could be because like they have too many emails in their inbox. It could be because the server was no longer accepting it. It could be because their mail server was down, our mail server was down. But 9 times out of 10 is when people first initially get on a lead list or actively communicate with you, sometimes they put in the wrong email address. So instead of putting like Gmail, they put like Gmail or something like that. Or instead of a .com, they put .nom. So people do make mistakes. So when it comes to bounced, we do want you to take a different action. We want, hey, just bounced. Please go in and check the email address and contact the client. Hopefully you have their phone number to update the address. All right, and I go ahead and say that, and guess what I'm going to do? I'm just going to copy the same information. I'm going to add it to the task. And then here, boom, let's get rid of that first part. And my spelling is horrible. Do not take spelling lessons from me. My God, help us all if we did. And then we're just going to do correct bounced. And guess what? If you can't correct and get in touch with the client, just delete it. Delete it if it doesn't work, or if it just looks a little different, or if it's just not working right, you can go ahead and delete it. And I'm going to go ahead and hit save action. So now I have my bounce. And notice it was fairly quicker because we just duplicated it. Guess what we're going to do when it comes to complaint? I'm going to come over here. I'm going to go to bounced, and I'm going to go ahead and duplicate that one. And now we're going to have complaint. All right. And we're just going to label it 03. Hit create. And now I have the complaint. I'm going to come in here. I'm going to go to email events, and I'm going to go to complaint. And then again, same thing, set D&D, add a tag. This time I am going to change it to complaint. And I'm going to put email complaint, just in case you're tracking some other kind of complaints that are coming in. I'm going to go ahead and hit save action. All right, so we got our tag, internal notification, instead of just bounced, just spam complaint, because that's usually where complaints come from. Okay, please go in and check the email address. And actually, if you're, please delete the contact. If somebody complained, they need to definitely be deleted. Please delete the contact. All right, and I'm going to go ahead and save action. Boom, boom, boom. Same thing here. Actually, let's go back to internal notification. And hopefully you're learning some of these shortcuts that I'm doing. Hopefully they're helpful because then everything that I do for an internal notification, I also do for a task. Because if you're running a pretty tight ship when it comes to office members and everything else, you're going to want to, have this, as best and as easily automated as possible. So I'm going to go ahead and hit save action. So let's think about what we did, right? We created the bounce, we created the complaint, and we create the unsubscribe. We also created a form, and you can put that form inside a web page, create the funnel page, create the opt-out process where it's an opt-out form. On the first one, it's going to be the thank you, or sorry to see you go, not a thank you, but sorry to see you go, and that you've been unsubscribed. And then you can even create like a trigger link. Whenever they click on that, it automatically unsubscribes them. So that's all different ways you can do it. But there's one more thing that we're also been teaching our clients to do, because we've noticed that sometimes they're not using a filtered list for people that are unsubscribing because they're just not getting to their actual cleaning of the email boxes, no matter how many times you remind them. They're not removing their complaints. They're not removing their bounce. So what we also end up doing and instructing is in contacts, we're going to create a smart list, right? So if you go over to the right-hand side and go to more filters, and again, if you have a VA process or an onboarding process, can't necessarily automate smart lists just yet, But if you have a really bad actor or one of your customers is actively always getting you spiking in problems or really affecting your deliverability, this is something you want to do. And again, it'll get to the point where one customer might burn your whole entire domain because it just keeps sending over and over. There's no unsubscribe, there's no anything. So there's two more processes left. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come into tag, and I'm going to do this the long way. There's probably shortcuts you can do this, but I just kind of want you to walk through the process. Tag is not, remember, we created an unsubscribe. So we're going to go ahead and if you guys, I don't know if you know this, but if you control F and you hit bounced, boom, it goes right to it. So first, this tag is not a bounced email. The second one we're going to do is just type in tag again. Is not, control F and put complained. All right, and go ahead and apply. And then tag is not. And this is a secondary measure that we do. Now, do you have to do this? Not necessarily, because if you did everything right, it's pretty good. But we always like to take extra measures because, again, we've tried a lot of different things. And this is something that it has been working for us. That's why we wanted to share with you guys. So we have all this. Then I also add when email is not empty, because they'll prevent errors when you're doing bulk emails. If it's empty, you'll still try to send it to that contact, especially if you haven't filtered. But this is something else that we do. And we even add D&D just in case D&D was missed for whatever reason, right? So again, it's a system. We want to make sure that it doesn't have any of that. So notice the filters. I put D&D no, email is not empty, tag is not unsubscribed, not complained, and not bounced. And what I do is we save this as a filtered list for all of our clients. Now the clients have the ability of, like, whenever they're sending email newsletters or blasts, you want to teach them to send from the filtered list when they're going to do their email blasts, whether it's here or whether it's through the email builder. This helps prevent additional people from, like, again, from getting bad emails and you getting on unsubscribe lists and so forth and so on, right? So we have this, we have the automation. So the next thing that we want to do is we want to create a templated newsletter. So we are going to go to marketing, and I'm just going to, we're just going to go to a random template. So I'm going to come over here and we're going to just do like the simple template for whatever we have. And we are going to go all the way down. Now, we've had issues with this unsubscribe from list. When customers create this, this particular link, well, there isn't a link. So when I click on this and I go here, notice there's no URL link. Now the customer will automatically think that there is an unsubscribe link here. Now, for instance, if you followed along and you created the opt-in form and you have a little opt-in area, you want to put in here either your short code, which here, let's go ahead and grab it. So I'm going to come over here, settings. I'm going to go to my, not settings, I'm sorry. I'm going to go to my marketing. Remember that trigger link that we clicked? And we have this unsub link. Make sure that in your onboarding instructions or while you're onboarding the customer that they fill this out and they get this link in. So what I'm going to do is when I go to my marketing and I go to my email builder and I go to my new template that I created right here, what I'm going to do is in here, if I go to my unsubscribe from list, it's the first thing that I always check, and I make this the standard template. I come in here and I make sure that my link list has got my unsub link in here. And now I save. Now it's guaranteed. I can tell you 9 times out of 10, when we go back to the client and find out why they're spiking in their unsubscribes or their bounce, it's because they are sending newsletters and people are trying to unsubscribe and they can. Now, this is one way to do it to ensure that that's happening. For any agency owners, which you can do too, remember, inside of Mailgun, you can have the automatic unsubscribe there that automatically takes them away from the list. So make sure you also have that on if you really feel that the clients are not going to take action on doing this. But please make sure you do that. The other thing that you want to do is, on top of having the unsubscribe in here, when they're setting up their profiles and they're setting up their staff, make sure that that unsubscribe link is also at the end of every signature. We just noticed that if you're using user signature and there's nothing there, it won't populate and you won't go. So these are just common mistakes that I would try to avoid in your actual process of onboarding a client. These are good ways to do it, so then you can increase your deliverability, and not only that for your clients. And then for all the agency owners, just add this to your main snapshot and put it on. So the second it lands into their account, this process is always on. So the odds of them doing something that they shouldn't is going to be an issue. The other thing that I would also recommend, if we go back to our automations, is make sure that for some odd reason, we've had this happen before to us, we actually allow for multiple on these, because we have noticed that sometimes people will try to put the same email over and over again. And we just want to make sure that it's not going to cancel anything, but we do want to make sure that they're just getting it. And again, if they do another email address and there's an issue with the contact, and it's not merged and whatever else, they'll just unsubscribe from one because the name match or the phone number match. They won't unsubscribe from the other. This way, if they do it over and over again, it can happen and it's not going to be an issue for you. So I'm hoping this helps. We've seen massive success. We've gotten our email deliverability. We were in the 60s because we had 3 or 4 bad actors inside our agency account that literally blew up our entire email, and we had to get a brand new email address, and we had to put some safeguards in place as we continue to grow, right? So just something that I would strongly recommend for any agency owner and for yourselves. Make sure you're enacting this for yourselves, so then anytime somebody is unsubscribing from your list or from your process, that you're also doing the same. So I hope this video helps. If you guys enjoyed this video, we're planning on doing a lot more. Subscribe and like our channel, and we'll talk to you all soon.